Hi, everyone. So we're live. Maneco64 here, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. I've decided to do a live stream this afternoon, a little earlier than my usual live streams. But yeah, I just thought it was a good time. I played golf this morning. And tomorrow, also, I'm going to be playing golf all day. I've got a big tournament, and it's 36 holes. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a video in tomorrow, but it will probably be later on, not in the morning. So you're probably going to miss a video tomorrow. I see I've got 17 people already, 20 now. Hi, Tom. Nice to see you here. Hi, Helen. Helen from Singapore. The other reason I like doing sometimes early live streams is that I get people from the Far East. Because if I start at 9 p.m. here, it's a little too late or too early for people out in the Far East. Olaf from Sweden. Hi, Olaf. Nilsson, nice to see you here. Vajra. Hi, Vajra. Cyrus Kadrezer. Yeah, hi, Cyrus. I played all right today, the first 9, and then not too well the back 9. Tomorrow is a different kind of golf I'm playing. I'm playing actually outside my club, and it's a tournament for people over 35, but under 10 handicap. And we're playing 36 holes, so it should be interesting. I like the competition. I'll be tired after 36 holes. I used to play 36 holes, which is twice in one day, years ago. Now I guess I'm getting older, but I should be okay, 36 holes. Russell, hi, Russell Doble, I think, is that how you pronounce it? Gold Stacker, that's a good mnemonic. Malt Philistine, hi, Malt. Alex from Canada, 903 Boulder from Michigan, John Roberts from North Carolina. So yeah, it's a little early in the States, 9 a.m. But I get up in the summer. I don't even need an alarm. When the sun comes up, it kind of wakes me up. And I sometimes just snooze in bed a little bit. Hi, Marcia. Hola, how are you? Nice to see you. I think Marcia is also originally from Brazil, but she lives in the UK. Rick W. Yeah, I haven't done a live stream for a while, so I thought it was a good time to do one. I haven't really got anything in mind. We can just talk. You guys can ask questions. I personally think, things are not going well for the powers that be. I think the world economy is coming to a grinding halt. I think there's a lot of distractions out there, especially geopolitical, and I think the deep state is trying to foment conflict. I don't think we are. I'm not the one of the opinion that we're going to get a hot war or a kinetic war. I don't think that's their objective. I think it's just distractions. I don't think the Iranian situation is going to lead to anything. I just think there's too much to lose for everyone to have a war like this, a major war, and it would be. But you never know with these people. Sean McDonald from Ohio. Ohio, I guess you were a little. I guess it's 8 a.m. there. Maybe you're 6 hours behind me. Alpine Maximus. Cali, that's in, isn't it Ecuador, Cali, or Peru? I'm sorry. My geography is usually quite good, but yeah, I think it's Ecuador or Peru. Jan Novak in Austria. William Cole, what are you talking about, Thomas Cook? As I said, I don't have any subject. I saw a headline about Thomas Cook yesterday. I think I went out to buy something at the Asda store, and there was an FT, and it said, I think Thomas Cook is about to collapse. Thomas Cook is a huge travel agent travel company in the UK. They organize holidays. I even think they do you know the airplanes. They lease planes, don't they? So I'm not sure. I haven't seen that. I'm not surprised. As I said, I was just speaking with my sister and my sisters and my mom in Switzerland before I started my live stream, and I spoke to them on WhatsApp. And they live up in the mountains, and there's a very exclusive resort near there. And my sister, she plays golf as well, my older sister. And I said, oh, are you going to have the Pro-Am this year at the golf club? And they have some pretty heavy hitters, like wealthy people that go and play there. And she said, no, they're canceling the Pro-Am for the first time in 22 years because they couldn't get the sponsorship or the money. And that's in Switzerland. So that's another sign there. Even the, the upscale resorts are not doing well in Switzerland, which I thought I was kind of surprised, but not too surprised. V Bjorn Grit and hi Mario, how much do you spend on golf in a year? Isn't it hard for shoulders and neck, back? Yeah, I mean, for my golf club, I spend about £1,000 a year at the membership. But what I tell people is, if you smoke, and I don't smoke, if you smoke 20 cigarettes a day in the UK, you're going to be spending about £3,500 a year. So yes, I think it's healthy. Of course, I've been playing for almost 40 years. I don't have a bad back. I carry my own clubs. So it's all moderation. And I play about 2-3 times a week. But the walk is what's really great as well. And being out in nature, I think, is a good thing. So yeah, some people think it's expensive. But yeah, I think it depends on your priorities. Eric Smith, why is the US dollar so strong? Do you think it will continue to move up? Hi, Eric. Well, it's strong against the pound, especially. And that's because of Brexit and the UK situation. If you look at the dollar, though, against the yen, Japanese yen, it's actually coming off quite a bit. And if you look at it against the euro, the dollar has strengthened a bit, but it hasn't really made a big move. It is strong against the Chinese yuan. As I said before, I wouldn't be distracted by a strong dollar. I still think, the dollar made a bottom in 2008 at 70.69, the dollar index, and now we're around 97. I don't know exactly. And gold at the time topped at 1,000, went down to 700, and now we're almost 1,300. So I still, the thing about the dollar or Federal Reserve note, I don't want to finance the deep state or the bankers. So I try to have as little as possible. The same thing goes for the euro or the Bank of England notes. And I think they're going to keep inflating. They can't raise rates or rein in their balance sheet. They're going to collapse everything. So the only option they have is to keep inflating even more. So that's why I wouldn't worry about the short-term moves in the dollar. Neil from Houston, 8 a.m. Yeah, Houston, Texas. I've never been to Texas, actually, but I wouldn't mind going to Texas. I've been to several other states in the U.S. I've been to Florida, Georgia. I flew to Atlanta and drove to Auburn, Alabama. I went to the Mises Institute's 20th anniversary in 2002. I've been to New York several times on business, and Massachusetts, Ohio, Michigan. So I've been all over the place in the U.S., but I haven't been to Texas, the Republic. Lord Humongous, nice to see you here as well. Yeah, Edward VP, Iron Mountain. I watched that as well. I recommended it last week in one of my videos. Pabar, he's from Seattle. It must be early in Seattle. Actually, Pabar, I hope you guys don't mind me talking a little bit about myself. But when I was about 5 or 6, so a long time ago, my dad was very much into sailing, like I'm into golf, and he used to travel quite a bit uh, racing. And we went to Seattle for the Star Class World Championship. And I remember Seattle. I remember my dad driving around. He rented a car and driving around Seattle, very hilly, and we got lost. This was probably 1970, 71 in Seattle. Vajra, what do you think about dollar weaponization? That seems to be what is happening. The dollar will continue to get stronger. Well, I think it's a double-edged sword, the weaponization of the dollar. And by that, I mean, the sanctions they're putting on countries like Venezuela, Russia, Iran, that's only going to accelerate people getting away from the dollar. So in the short term, it might help the dollar, but in the long term, I think it's bad because countries like Russia, China, Venezuela, and other countries that don't want to be dependent on the dollar because it's a political weapon. Instead, it's become a political weapon instead of an economic weapon, economic tool. So yeah, it might give the dollar a little bit of strength in the short term, but I think it's a bad. In the long term, it's going to accelerate even more. Other countries' effort to find alternatives to the dollar. So it's like shooting the U.S. administration is shooting itself on its own, it's shooting its foot, so to speak. Morning, scratch, scratch my ass. Morning, scratch my ass. Do you worry about gold confiscation? You're going to return to a gold standard. Here in the UK, we haven't had gold confiscation historically. But I don't think you'd have to worry about it in the US because back in 1933, gold was part of the monetary system. So a lot of people held gold. They needed to bring in the gold in order to inflate the system. Nowadays, they don't need to do that, in my opinion. They've been already confiscating the gold, in my opinion, de facto by manipulating and ostracizing, gold as an insurance and as an asset. So they've already been doing it. In the UK, in the 60s and 70s, they didn't confiscate, but you weren't allowed to buy over a certain amount of sovereigns a year. I think it was 6 sovereigns, which is just over an ounce and a half. But I don't think, I'm not concerned about it then. Yak maneco, big hug from Bulgaria. Hi, nice to see you here. Lord Humongous says all my exes live in Texas. Okay, I don't have an ex, so. Arno Meert, Maneco, don't you think gold prices might be influenced by the demand of federal banks in China, Russia, etc.? Yeah, they are influenced by the physical buying from China and Russia, but I think at the moment, COMEX, the LBMA, which is the Bank of England, the Federal Reserves, the BIS, they're still being able to control the price of the paper price. But there will be one day, unless the Bank of England, the Fed, and the Western banks want to lose all their gold, they're going to have to let the price go higher. William Cole, is there a way the pound gets stronger versus the dollar going weaker? I mean, longer term, I think it will get weaker. Yeah. But against the gold, I think it's going to get even weaker. So, yeah. Right now, the pound had held quite well above 130 for a few months, but now it's coming off. And Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty now, political uncertainty, Brexit uncertainty. So SAC Media, my problem with gold is no income whilst you're waiting. That's true, but every country in Europe, though, gold is does better than cash in the bank because they have negative interest rates. And if you look at the dollar, you might get just over 2% in the T bill, and you get some income. But over the long term, uh, you know, the income you're getting in fixed income now in real terms is negative. So you're actually losing money. In the longer term, I think gold will hold its value. Uh, but under a gold standard, as money is gold, you do get interest because that's what you lend. But I don't have a problem with not having an income from gold. I just you know. I was talking to a guy from my golf club the other day because he put some money in these bonds with Metro Bank, and it's I think yielding 2%. And in the UK, I would say inflation is more like 5, even 10%. And now Metro Bank has been in trouble, and he's worried about getting that money back. So, yeah, I think gold gives you peace of mind. Of course, you got to look after it, make sure you have it safe, but at least it's in your hand. While lending money is tricky. There's counterparty risk. Arno, do you think people understand the impact of Brexit on the EU? Probably not, most people just focus on the impact of Brexit on the UK, but I think it could be quite significant on the EU, and that's why the EU has made it so hard for the UK to leave, because if it was really easy to leave, I think it would encourage a lot of other countries to leave, and it would be the end of the EU. What do you think about silver? Do you think that it will eventually outperform gold? Yeah, I do. I do, and I hold on to my silver. I haven't never sold any of my silver. I hold on to it, and I started buying it in 2002 or three, and I just put it in a shoebox and hide it well. Steve Evans, Mario, shouldn't the Dow market go up indifferently? You mean indefinitely? I'm not sure. I mean, you look at the Dow, what it's done in the last since the bottom in 2009. We've gone from 6,000, to around 25, 26 where we are right now. I think it's overdone. Things never go up forever. Lord Humongous, silver is the most undervalued asset on the planet. I tend to agree. Dave from Calgary, Alberta. Nice to see you, Dave. Canada, I've never been to. Well, I've been to Canada actually, but just for one day. I think I was in Syracuse, New York, and I was there with my dad, and we knew he had a good friend there. It was a doctor, and he had a little. We went on his boat, and we went across the lakes into an island, one of the Thousand Islands, which is in Canada. So that's the only time I've been in Canada. I do have family in the States, in the Detroit area. I guess that's pretty close to Canada, but I've been to visit them, but we never got to go to Canada when I was there. I think they're near Windsor, Canada, there in Detroit. Yeah, William, Metro Bank may be a new Northern Rock situation. I saw the stock price rallied quite a bit on Friday. I'm not really following it too closely. But yeah, the problem with them was that they misclassified some of their commercial property loans. So we'll have to see. Maybe other people, other banks are doing the same thing. Yeah, Grayman. Grayman says, "Why does anyone who understands the monetary system keep putting money into the U.S. stock market?" I think there's a few reasons why that might be so, Grayman. One is that a lot of people feel there's no other option. You leave your money in the bank, and you get zero, very little interest. So you go for the stock market. I personally don't. Like you say, I know the monetary system. I know you miss out, but over the long run, I don't know. I feel it's more like peace of mind. I think the best thing personally, because when you invest in the stock market, you're investing in a business. So I think the best thing, if you have your own business, or you do your own thing, or you have family that want to start a business, it's better to invest in yourself and your family. Why are you going to buy shares of Goldman Sachs or McDonald's? But if you are into, yeah, so I think that's the best thing. The way they say it, they say, oh, it's the democratic way, people to own a piece of corporate America. I'm not too sure I believe in all that. But that's not to say people who have held on to to stocks for over the years haven't done well. But if the other thing, though, it's a bit misleading, they keep changing the components of the Dow index. There's a lot of companies that were in the Dow 20 years ago. They don't even exist anymore. So unless you have a lot of money and managers that know what they're doing, it's very difficult. DB Stupid, good morning from Alaska. Good morning, DB. Nice to see you here. Well, we've got people from as far away as Singapore, Alaska, South America, everywhere. Arno Meert, why not buy stocks? You're supporting your local economy if you do it right. I'm not too sure if you're supporting your local economy, really. Most corporations are really global, not local. Pad, uh, Mario. Hi, Mario. Markets show no sign of reality, but neither is the precious metals market. Investing is totally crapshoot, but it shouldn't be in a fair and free society. Yeah, we don't have a fair and free society. I agree with you, but I still, I know it's frustrating, and I've been at it since 2002, having, accumulating precious metals, but I still feel that having the precious metals gives me peace of mind, as that's and it protects the purchasing power of my savings. It might not make me rich. It might not be as speculative as cryptocurrencies, even though I do have some cryptocurrencies. And cryptocurrencies have been all over the place in the last few days. Today, it's back up about 10% at Bitcoin. So there you go. Vajra, there's always real estate as well, as if you don't like putting your money into stocks. Land is just as, yeah. And also, I have to say, uh, I've done well from having my own house. Uh, we had a flat before my daughter was born, and then when she was born in the mid 90s, we we sold the flat and bought a house. I did take on a mortgage. It wasn't. It was less than half the value of the house, but at that time, prices were still quite low. And I didn't buy thinking, a house thinking, oh, this is going to be a great investment. I bought it as a home, to live there. And but it's done well because of, they've inflated the system so much, and that's where a lot of the money is gone into housing. But yeah, one day house prices will also, in my opinion, correct. And I'm not concerned about it because, I don't look at housing or real estate as an investment, even though you can also look at it as an investment. If I were to buy another property, that would be an investment. But where I live, it's my home. Nomadic Diesel. I like that name. If the Iran situation gets out of hand, the uh, GSR will rise to over 90. Gold will get a bid but not silver, in my opinion. What's GSR? I'm not sure what that is, but the last time there was an Iranian crisis, really big crisis, was 40 years ago exactly. The Iranian hostage crisis, and the oil price zoomed up to $40 in 1979. I think gold went from $400 in November of 1979 to 887 by January of 1980. So yeah, Iran is important, but I don't have gold because of that, and I wouldn't sell my gold if that were to happen. Maybe I would take a little bit of, profit on a small part, but that wouldn't be the reason for me to have gold. Oh, sorry, gold silver ratio. Yeah, gold silver ratio might not do too well, but eventually it will. Um, yeah, and that's quite high, 89 right now. Yeah, very high. Historically, 80 is like been, quite topish. Gene Maddox thinks he's been shadow banned. Do you have a channel, Gene? Haven't looked you up. Time will tell how much. He's asking about paper gold and physical gold. There's a lot of leverage, but there's a lot of leverage in all other assets as well. Gold and silver are actually traded as in the foreign exchange market. If you global, the big banks, they trade gold as FX, and even the other FX crosses, they're highly leveraged as well. When people take a position, let's say 1 million euros versus dollar, they go long euro versus dollar, 1 million. They only need about 5,000 or 10,000 euros to put on that position. So yeah, it's the same thing with all the other currencies, and gold is traded like that, unfortunately. But it will eventually, the real price of gold. I don't know where it will be, but it should be a lot higher. Widget, thoughts on CBOE speed bump? I saw that headline that they're gonna something about the high frequency trading. Uh, not sure what to make of that. I mean, I started out as a futures and options broker. When I started out in the early 90s, there were no screens. Well, there were screens, but all the trading was done on the floor of the exchange. I worked in the office, but I had, direct lines to the floor, and it was a completely different market. But I don't think the manipulation in gold is just to do with people spoofing or high frequency trading. Is much more than that. It's more about the central banks, the bullion banks, and these people. For example, the bullion banks, they they get indirect messages. If they see their phone ringing from the BIS, let's say gold is going up like $20 in one day, and then their direct lines to the BIS or the Fed start ringing, they know that these guys are going to come in and sell gold. So before, so when the guy that talks to the BIS or the Fed or the Bank of England picks up the phone, someone else has already seen that they're calling, and they're selling the gold before they get the order from these people. That I think is something much more serious than high frequency trading or what the CME or CBOE is doing. So I don't think it will help at all in terms of the gold manipulation. Dan Reed asks, longtime listener, what do you think of Jim Willey? He's an interesting guy, but I've been following him for a long time as well. His Golden Jackass letter, hat trick letter. But I think sometimes he extrapolates a lot. He says he's got sources. I saw the latest headline or video. He said that the good guys have won and they've got the gold, that it's back in Fort Knox. I'm not sure where he gets his information from. So yeah, I'm not really sure I trust everything he says. A lot of his analysis, though, I agree with the fact that the dollar will only get weaker and weaker. And by that I don't mean about against other currencies, but in general as a currency, just like all fiat currencies, they will get weaker. So yeah, he's an interesting guy, but I wouldn't believe everything he says, because he likes to come out with some bombastic predictions. That's right, Pat. And that's a shame, because I don't think he needs that, because he's quite a clever guy, just if he's stuck to his, to things that he can prove. I mean, I could start making, bold predictions and say, oh, I've heard from sources that so-and-so, but I just can't do that. I don't, and I'd rather just try to go with what I can see. Arno Meerts, what do you think about official 1 silver or 1 ounce Brexit Britannia coin? Huh. I didn't know they made a Brexit Britannia, but 1 ounce Britannias are good. I have Britannias, I have maple leaves, I have gold, silver eagles, the American 1 ounce. But if they have a Brexit, yeah, why not? It could have some kind of collector value, but I only buy silver mostly for the bullion. I do have some numismatic silver coins, but I'm not really a serious collector. I do it for fun once in a while. Lord Humongous, you forgot to say people need to hit the like button. Even, I don't know if it makes any difference, but yeah. And the other thing, if there's anyone here who hasn't subscribed yet to the channel, and you enjoyed this and you've enjoyed other videos, make sure you subscribe. Mortgages are a parasite system. Yeah, I mean, it comes from French, a death gauge, a death contract, isn't it? More means death. Lord Humongous said, I'm going to the Grand Canyon to mine all the Bix weirdo road to root of gold. Yeah, I know. So 34 minutes. Yeah, I'll stay on a little longer. Haven't got much to do at the moment, and I'll just wait. Clive Raza, Hi, Clive. Nice to see you. Looter 92. Why are Latin American countries poor and North American countries wealthy? Well, having lived in a Latin American country, Brazil, uh, and having lived and studied in the States, I think it's the reason is historical and cultural. I think the Latin American countries, they were colonized by the Spanish and the Portuguese uh, royal families, the royals there. And I don't think they thought very long term. They just wanted to go there, and they didn't care about, the rule of law. They just went and exploited it. Not saying that the British were perfect, but I think the British went to colonize most of North America and some French Canada, and I think they went there also for the resources, but they knew that they needed to have the rule of law, and I think that's the main reason why. And monetarily, I think, and it goes hand in hand with having the rule of law. The Latin American countries, they've never been, there's, the inflation's always been rampant. Governments have always cheated a lot because of the debt, the Spanish, the Portuguese. While in North America, there's been, I know, in the last 50 years, we've been off the gold standard, but it's, North America and the US especially, they've had more the rule of law. They've respected contracts, and they've had sound money, and that's why I think it's become wealthier. You've had a bigger middle class, and that's purely the reason why, in my opinion, because Latin America has just as much resources as North American natural resources. They should be just as wealthy, but it's just been more corrupt and mismanaged, and the inflation. Hopefully that answers your question as best as I could. Kevin Johnson, are you still adding to crypto positions? Not really. I added in November and December, and I've done quite well with the one stuff that I've added. The only thing I'm doing now is playing around a little bit in the altcoins for EOS. There's one that I've done well on. It's called PEOS. And that's moved. That, for example, is up 12% today. I bought some of those at 0.01 EOS, and it's now at 0.0145. So that's what I'm doing. But no, I'm not adding on to cryptocurrencies at the moment. Maybe I should. I have been thinking that maybe I should. Chuck Delano, I'm 22 on thumbs up. Pat says North America is rich because it's based on the Queen's religion, which is Masonic. Could be right. Good evening from, I can't read that. Chuck Delano says inflation is getting bigger these days. Yeah, I went to, as I said, I went to Asda, the store yesterday, and I noticed some of the soft drinks now, they're at £1.09. So I think they were £1 before. So they've raised it like 9%, which is a weird price. Kevin Johnson, what exchange do I use for cryptos, you mean? If I want to buy some Bitcoin, I will use bitbargain.co.uk. I can send money there from my bank account, and there are people who make a market, bitbargain.co.uk. But the other way I've been accumulating cryptocurrencies is the videos that I upload on Steemit and DTube. I earn a bit of money, steam from that. I know steam hasn't done well, but I haven't gotten rid of any steam for the last 6 months. So I'm accumulating quite a bit of steam, and I'm waiting for it to pick back up. I think it's around 40 cents right now, and it's been higher than $5, $6. So that's the other way I'm accumulating it. Uh, Bob Silver, nobody talks about paying off your home. That's the best investment you can make. I had mine paid off when I was 40. Yeah, I paid off mine about 5 years ago. I sold my old house, uh, paid off the mortgage with it, and I bought the house I live in, which is almost the same size, but was a lot less value. Um, yeah, and mortgage. The thing about the reason people aren't paying, that's what I was trying to think. I wanted to say something about that, is that right now it's so easy to finance mortgages, and so low that people just keep, rolling it over. But one day, the music will stop, so you have to be careful. Um, it's the only institution that seems to be able to keep borrowing without any worries is the U.S. United States Corporation, aka U.S. Treasury, and the only reason they can is because they've got the taxpayers under their thumb with the IRS. Dan Reed, are you voting Brexit Party Thursday? Yeah, I have Italian passport here. I live in the UK, and my wife and daughter, of course, have British passport. Uh, but I can choose to vote in the UK, so I did. So I will be, and I usually don't vote because I don't believe in politics. I think politics is, you know, how can I say, a distraction for the masses. I believe in, even though I know that politicians, and the system, they tax us and they regulate us. But I don't see, for some, most people, they think that we need these people to running our lives. But I think I might go and vote for the Brexit Party. So the voting booth is actually at my golf club. So I can go and play golf and then go and vote. I got my little slip in the post. Hi, Jason. I'm well, and you? Nice to see you here. Yeah, I think there's only one politician I would really, uh, how can I say, eagerly vote for. It's would be Ron Paul, because Ron Paul tells his constituency that he wants to go to Washington D.C., or went to Washington D.C. because he's retired, to try to do as little as possible for them, and to try to vote against everything. So that's the kind of politician I like. And unfortunately, most politicians, they're not there to do that, because most people vote because they want politicians to do something for them, and I'm not one of those. Jason Nolan, Prime Minister Nigel Farage. No, I don't think. The thing is, you need to understand the political system in the UK. Nigel Farage, the elections we have on Thursday is for the EU, so the Brexit Party might win that. They'll get a lot of, members of the European Parliament, but it's got nothing to do with Westminster, and it will be very hard for the Brexit Party to make inroads in the domestic politics. So no, I don't think Nigel Farage. He might become prime minister one day, but right now it looks highly unlikely. Hi, Jason. I'm not American. No, I'm not. Uh, I'm originally from Brazil. I have Italian passport, but I've been in the UK for since 1992. Yeah, so I did study in the States for a few years in the 80s. So that's where maybe I got my accent. A lot of people here in the UK think I'm either, uh, they think sometimes they ask me if I'm Canadian or American. All right. 45 minutes, that's okay. Just keep going. Uh, I'll just show you guys, I got the Economist Magazine yesterday. I think I started subscribing to it about 6, 7 months ago. And I'm not going to renew my subscription, but I thought, oh, let's see, what the globalists are talking about. Sometimes they have some interesting articles, but I have to say, I don't really like this magazine. But they're making a big deal out of the trade dispute, U.S. and China. They're calling it a new kind of Cold War. So they even have a whole special report within the magazine about the China U.S. trade. They call it a new kind of Cold War. You see, so that's quite interesting. That's what they're thinking about. Lord Humongous says, Mario, you should move to America. I would. I like the States, but it's difficult because I do things by the book, and I'd have, it's very hard to get a green card to come and live in the States. Having a European passport or Brazilian passport doesn't help. So I'm not one of those who would go to another country and live there illegally. So when I studied at university in Florida, I had a student visa. So yeah, Billy, yeah, he's like he likes sleeping. Have you seen that little bow? Last time he went to the groomers, she usually gives him a new bow, and she gave him this yellow fluorescent bow. It looks like the color of the yellow vests. So Billy's like got the yellow vest bow. He's not dead. He's still alive. Lord Human, yeah. There, I have a niece actually who moved to the States, to Florida. She married an American about 5 years ago, but she had to go through the green card process, and she had to pay a lot of money for that, even though she was married. And yeah, it's a great country. I like America, despite you know the fact that there is a lot of things wrong everywhere, America included. Jump the border. Yeah. Jason Nolan, you can get a green card if you have an employer that sponsors you. That's true. John Chesterfield says, you sound very British. I guess I do. I guess my accent has softened. I've been here since 1992, but to a lot of people as well, I sound here in the UK, I sound American. So Lord Humongous is going to Canada in the summer. My wife and I are going to Italy in October. We're going to Florence, so that should be interesting uh, for a week. Florence is an interesting place. I mean, uh, I think that's where they started double entry accounting. In the Renaissance, banking. So it's an interesting place. DB stupid, I would say East Coast Canadian. Yeah, the thing is, like when I went to university in the States, a lot of my friends at university, They were like from New Jersey, Delaware, Massachusetts. They were mostly from New England because they wanted to come down to Florida for university, and Ohio, kind of that, you know, northeast area. So that's where I probably picked up, you know, that kind of accent. My native language is my mother tongue is Portuguese, Jason. Don't speak. I speak Portuguese when I call my mom. She doesn't live in the UK, but at home I speak English. My wife is English, but yeah, Portuguese. Brazilian Portuguese, which is a bit it's a bit like comparing, you know, Brazilian Portuguese is like American English, and you know, it's as different as American English is to English English. Chuck Delano, I agree with you. You know, should not be a problem to move any place. I think in the 19th century, it was easier, you know, to people to come over. I don't think they even had passports back then. Before World War I, there's no such thing as passports. Furkan Fidan plans to return to Brazil? Not really. No. Norwegian influenced Canadian accent. Mike Martin's channel. He's Portuguese. Follows housing market. I'll have a look. Did U.S. send airplane carriers to Persian Gulf to support petrodollar? Yeah, that's what it's all about. The Hormuz Strait. Damon Wright. No, I haven't seen Jeffrey Gundlach's interview. Uh, or is it about a week or two ago? Yeah, I did see that. I agree with a lot of what he said. He noted that real GDP is actually negative if you take into account the amount of debt that's being created, the deficits we're running, and I agree completely with him. Do you follow the channel In the Name of the People? No, but is that's on YouTube? Yeah, I'll have a look. I'll have a look at that. In the Name of the People. Okay, I'll take a few more questions, and then I'll call it a day. Lord Humongous, did Blinkar ever set up in the States? They're still they're still going, you know, planning to. Because I contacted the guys there about a week ago. I said, "What's going on?" And I haven't heard from you, but they're still planning to do it. They're gonna go. You know, I'm supposed to have like a Skype meeting with the people there next week, so they will come to the States. I don't know why it's taking so long. Oh, thanks about the vacation. Thank you. Renee Michelle, what do you drive for a car? Why should I tell you what I hardly, we have a car and it's paid for, but I hardly ever use the car. I try to walk as much as possible, but yeah, I have a car. I don't think I need to tell people what kind of car it is. Corbett Report, I have Upper Darby. Ferrari, no, that's not my kind of car. I look at cars more as a way to move from A to B. I'm not into Ferraris or Maseratis or I think it's not me. MG, MGB, nah, Fiat. No, one car I'd like to get would be the an old Pontiac Grand Safari station wagon from the 70s. That's my favorite car. Good old American car. Alistair McLeod, he's good. He's a good analyst. Alistair McLeod from Gold Money. Okay, everyone. I wish you a great rest of the weekend. Oh, sub to me. I love your American flag cushion. Yeah, it's, you know, originally we just had the Union flag, the British flag, and then I started doing my videos, and people said, "Why don't you get an American one?" And I got it. I have to say though, there's only 28 stars on that, not 50, but it's a nice cushion. I've also got the Canadian, the maple leaf. So, all right, everyone. Thanks for showing up and participating in the live stream. As I said, tomorrow uh, I'm gonna probably leave home at 6 a.m. because I have to drive about an hour to go play golf, and it's 36 holes. I'm playing in the morning and afternoon. Hopefully, I'll make a video in the evening. If I'm too tired to make a video, I will definitely make one on Monday, and I might even make one late on tonight to after the market opens, to have maybe do it in the evening, and then have it publish it later today. So take care, everyone. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.